Florida Statutes Section 733.612. Transactions authorized for the personal representative, exceptions. Except as otherwise provided by the will or court order, and subject to the priorities stated in Section 733.805, without court order, a personal representative acting reasonably for the benefit of the interested persons may properly retain assets owned by the decedent pending distribution or liquidation, including those in which the personal representative is personally interested, or that are otherwise improper for fiduciary investments. Perform or compromise, or, when proper, refuse to perform the decedent's contracts. In performing the decedent's enforceable contracts to convey or lease real property, among other possible courses of action, the personal representative may convey the real property for cash payment of all sums remaining due, or for the purchaser's note for the sum remaining due, secured by a mortgage on the property. Deliver a deed in escrow with directions that the proceeds, when paid in accordance with the escrow agreement, be paid as provided in the escrow agreement. Receive assets from fiduciaries or other sources. Invest funds as provided in sections 518.10 through 518.14, considering the amount to be invested, liquidity needs of the estate, and the time until distribution will be made. Acquire or dispose of an asset excluding real property in this or another state for cash or on credit and at public or private sale, and manage, develop, improve, exchange, partition, or change the character of an estate asset. Make ordinary or extraordinary repairs or alterations in buildings or other structures, demolish improvements, or erect new party walls or buildings. Enter into a lease as lessor or lessee for a term within or extending beyond the period of administration, with or without an option to renew. Enter into a lease or arrangement for exploration and removal of minerals or other natural resources, or enter into a pooling or unitization agreement. Abandon property when it's valueless or so encumbered, or in a condition that it is of no benefit to the estate. Vote or refrain from voting stocks or other securities in person or by general or limited proxy. Pay calls, assessments, and other sums chargeable or accruing against or on account of securities, unless barred by the provisions relating to claims. Hold property in the name of a nominee or in other form without disclosure of the interest of the estate, but the personal representative is liable for any act of the nominee in connection with the property so held. Insure the assets of the estate against damage or loss, and insure against personal and fiduciary liability to third persons. Borrow money with or without security to be repaid from the estate assets or otherwise, other than real property, and advance money for the protection of the estate. Extend, renew, or in any manner modify any obligation owing to the estate. If the personal representative holds a mortgage, security interest, or other lien upon property of another person, he or she may accept a conveyance or transfer of encumbered assets from the owner in satisfaction of the indebtedness secured by its lien instead of foreclosure. Pay taxes, assessments, and other expenses incident to the administration of the estate. Sell or exercise stock subscription or conversion rights, or consent, directly or through a committee or other agent, to the reorganization, consolidation, merger, dissolution, or liquidation of a corporation or other business enterprise. Allocate items of income or expense to either estate income or principal as permitted or provided by law. Employ persons, including but not limited to attorneys, accountants, auditors, appraisers, investment advisors, and others, even if they are one and the same as the personal representative or are associated with the personal representative, to advise or assist the personal representative in the performance of administrative duties, act upon the recommendations of those employed persons without independent investigation, and, instead of acting personally, employ one or more agents to perform any act of administration, whether or not discretionary. Any fees and compensation paid to a person who is the same as, associated with, or employed by the personal representative shall be taken into consideration in determining the personal representative's compensation. Prosecute or defend claims or proceedings in any jurisdiction for the protection of the estate, of the decedent's property, and of the personal representative. Sell, mortgage, or lease any personal property of the estate or any interest in it for cash, credit, or for part cash or part credit, and with or without security for the unpaid balance. Continue any unincorporated business or venture in which the decedent was engaged at the time of death, in the same business form for a period of not more than 4 months from the date of appointment if continuation is a reasonable means of preserving the value of the business, including goodwill, in the same business form for any additional period of time that may be approved by court order. Provide for exoneration of the personal representative from personal liability in any contract entered into on behalf of the estate. Satisfy and settle claims and distribute the estate as provided in this code. Enter into agreements with the proper officer or department head, commissioner, or agent of any department of the government of the United States, waiving the statute of limitations concerning the assessment and collection of any federal tax or any deficiency in a federal tax. Make partial distribution to the beneficiaries of any part of the estate not necessary to satisfy claims, expenses of administration, taxes, family allowance, exempt property, and an elective share, in accordance with the decedent's will or as authorized by operation of law. Execute any instruments necessary in the exercise of the personal representative's powers. If you're interested in any of our services, please call 321-206-3603 or visit easlerlaw.com to book a consultation.